right, guys, welcome back to another episode of The Potential Project. I'm your host, Sean Calhoun, and if you are joining me on video, you're going to notice a little change in my appearance here. If you can't see me because you're listening on audio, I am wearing glasses. And these are not for reading, these are not for seeing while I'm driving, and definitely not to look smart. These are blue blocker glasses, and they're to help me when I'm looking at screens, whether it's my laptop or my phone, to help protect the blue lights from entering my eyes and disrupting my natural circadian rhythm. Because guess what? Today, we are going to talk about sleep. Now, I know I've talked about sleep in other podcasts, but a lot of times, we get on good routines, we forget, we slip up, and if you hear noise in the background, that's my dog. They're playing in the background. She has a friend over, so hopefully they're not too loud. But either way, we are going to talk about sleep because guess what? You can take supplements, you could cold plunge, you could sauna, you can track your macros and work out 5 days a week. But if you are not consistently getting good sleep and you're only getting, 5 or 6 hours a night, none of those things are going to save you, right? You're going to feel tired. You're going to get irritated. You're going to have cravings and feel hungry. You probably won't be motivated. And you're definitely going to be less capable of showing up in your life for the people who matter the most to you, whether that be your work, your family, whatever. You're not going to show up as your best health. So sleep isn't just some healthy hack or health habit, right? It is the most important domino that you can push over and create some long-lasting impact on the quality of your life, right? So that's what we're going to break down today. Now, the first thing I wanted to point out is we need to stop treating sleep like it's optional. I think because it's a part of human life, we do it every day, we don't look at it as something that's majorly important for our success and our quality of life, right? There's almost this badge of honor around being busy or staying up late or waking up super early and just surviving on caffeine. And I get it. Sometimes in your life, whether you have young kids or there's a busy season in work or whatever, you're going to have to hustle. I'm not saying that we can't ever be tired, but we've stamped ourselves with this cool badge of saying, I'm someone who gets up at 4 o'clock in the morning to be productive, or I stay up super late to do X, Y, and Z. And it's yes, great and all, but sleep is your number one priority, because constantly sacrificing the sleep or the quality thereof it doesn't make you more productive. It usually just makes the things that you're doing during the day harder. Trust me, because I've been this person, right? I'm not saying that I have great sleep, but I remember being someone who's I'll just work. I don't care. I'll work hard. I'll wake up early, and I'd be low energy, half falling asleep, and needing a nap in the middle of the day anyway. So if I'm taking an hour nap in the middle of the day because I woke up early to be quote unquote productive, well, couldn't I have just slept in an hour and not needed to sleep during the middle of the day? That's the way I look at it, right? And poor sleep shows up in your life many ways, and I know you know these things, but feelings like you need caffeine just to feel normal. You crave sugar. Hey, cool it with the squeaker. I see you. Sorry, again, the pups are wanting to play. But things like your temper and your patience is shorter, right? Your workouts feel super hard, or you're not able to recover from them. You're less motivated to do regular things like cook dinner, take care of yourself, right? And you feel tired, but somehow you struggle to fall asleep at the end of the night. Now, these are all signs that your quality of sleep is low. And there's different ways to track it, and we'll get into that. And I'm not trying to be Mr. Gadget here with tracking every single thing, but those are ways that you're going to see impacting your life when your sleep is low. And I want to preface this conversation with this conversation and all of the other things that I talk about. It's not about being a health robot. When I talk about health habits and prioritizing it, it's because the conversation needs to be had. And we should be informed, and we should understand how we can make our lives feel more optimal and just feel better. But this is by no means saying that you need to drop all of your free life, all of your family time, all of your other things just to have an optimal sleep score or to have more REM sleep. Those things are necessary too. Sometimes, again, you're going to have to take care of kids. You're going to have to maybe you want to go to a concert, right? Like, and you're going to stay up late, but you also need to know how that's going to feel afterwards. So you should still do those things, but in the other times where you're not doing something out of the ordinary, like going to a concert, it's best that you understand how good your routine can be so that you can optimize that anyway, right? You should not be skipping dinners with friends just because your exact bedtime is 9:02 p.m., right? Like, you don't need to get all in a fuss because you had one night that wasn't good sleep, right? You don't have to optimize every single second of your life. This goal that we're trying to create, that I try to talk about, is to just create a lifestyle where good sleep or optimal sleep is your normal baseline, right? While you still give yourself some room to live your life, right? So one late night, one concert, one dinner out isn't the problem. The problem becomes when this chronic fatigue and this state of exhaustion is your normal, and you don't even know what it feels like to be energized and have good sleep, right? Because that's not fun, right? When you, I like use the pebble in the shoe analogy. When you're walking around with that pebble in your shoe, it just becomes like something you don't even notice, right? Until you take it out and you're like, wow, I feel a lot better. That's what can happen when you make your baseline some good sleep. Now, I mentioned before about sleep being this, like, the first domino, the thing that when you get it going, it can have an exponential positive effect on other areas of your life and your total quality of life. Because realistically, when you sleep well and sleep well consistently, your energy is going to improve, your mood's going to become more stable, your cravings are easier to manage and sometimes are totally gone, right? You are more likely to go exercise and make better food choices. Your body has a better chance to recover because that's what happens when you sleep. And you just show up as a better person, a better friend, spouse, parent, professional. Like, you're just showing up as a better you in life. And when sleep improves, this is the best part, right? Is you often don't need so much willpower to make healthier choices because that becomes easier. Like I said about the cravings. Maybe you say, after dinner you always have cravings for sweets. But after getting some good sleep for a week, 2 weeks, a couple months, you naturally feel like those cravings went away. Now you don't have to beat yourself up anymore because before you're saying, I just need to be more disciplined. I need to be accountable. I need to not do these things. I'm a bad person because I'm eating sweets, and that just creates a negative spiral in your brain. When really, maybe, if you just got some better sleep, you wouldn't want the snack anyway, right? Or when you do, it's on an occasion and not like an every night, like, feeling of need. And that's why the quality of your sleep, that was just one incy-bincy. Was that a word? I don't even know if that was a word, but that's just one little example of how sleep can be a domino for the rest of your life. Now, here's the thing. We need to know, as we're taking these actions and making these improvements, to know, like, how do you know whether your sleep is improving? Now, there are gadgets and devices out there that track your sleep. There's things like the Oura Ring, the Apple Watch, the Whoop, and there's even like a little more advanced things called 8 Sleep, where it's like a mattress topper that controls the temperature, and that will track your sleep as well. None of these are required, though. If you have them already, or you're interested in buying the technology that tracks your sleep, by all means, go for it because it is helpful, but you do not need to spend any money, right? When you don't have these devices, if you're not interested in them, right, pay attention to a few different things, right? Pay attention to, number one, how easily do you fall asleep? Another one is, do you wake up during the middle of the night? How rested do you feel when you wake up? How's your energy in the afternoon? How is your mood and your patience? How are your cravings? How's your workout recovery? And lastly is, how are you affected by caffeine? Like, do you need caffeine just to get through the day? That list right there are all things maybe you could write them down, you could keep them top of mind, you could put them in your notes section, and you just kind of give yourself a score, right? You rank yourself from 1 to 10. How are you feeling in those areas? And that's going to give you a real, more like data-based conversation around if your sleep is improving or not. Now, of course, it's all relative to how you're feeling that day, and you're going to have to be honest with yourself. But the more you do it, the more in tune you're going to get to those things and the factors that sleep is improving or making worse, right? Because your body, it gives you feedbacks every single day through symptoms, through certain feelings. Like your body is a continual feedback loop. You just have to start noticing it and realizing how to control the things that are impacting it. And this is what we're breaking down right now. So I wanted to make this a short one, but I do want to leave you with some actionable steps, right? Because you got to know what you can do for free right now, tonight, and why it's going to impact your sleep moving forward. Now, all of the research that I've done, all of the other sleep experts out there, one of the biggest, if not the biggest contributor to quality sleep is having a consistent sleep window, trying to go to bed and wake up around the same time majority of the days. Now again, if you have an event, you have a wedding you want to get to, and you're going to be up late, cool. But I'm talking about for the majority of your life, even on the weekends, trying to have some like concrete time or window that you go to bed and you wake up at the same time, because we are circadian beings. We work on a 24-hour cycle that's linked up with the sun. And if your body is not linked up with the sun, or it's constantly changing, then it doesn't know how to get into rhythm. And you notice that's why you feel jet lag. That's why you feel a difference when you're going into different time zones. It's because your body is getting thrown out of rhythm. So the biggest thing you can do to improve your sleep is simply to have consistent windows. Now, when we think about it this way, this is why I love health and how it applies to other areas of life, is because I'm telling you right now, sleep is the biggest contributor to having your best health. And one of the biggest contributors to impacting that is just to have consistent bedtime windows. So we have to realize when it comes to getting what we want in life, when it comes to achieving this optimal health that we're all searching for, it is not complicated. It is not some drawn out process or protocol or supplement. It is the basics done over time, but it is hard. Right? Because who wants to give up certain things to have a consistent bedtime window? Or if you're on a normal schedule, or not normal, if you're on a current schedule and it should change to optimize that window, then that is hard. So it is simple, but it's also challenging, right? Another thing that you can do to set your circadian rhythm, to get good sleep at night, is to start in the beginning of the day. A lot of times we think of a nighttime routine, what should I do at night? Actually, to get optimal sleep at night, the thing you need to do is in the morning, is to get outside early in the day. Now, if you can, get early morning sunlight. Like a perfect scenario is to wake up with the sun, look out from a window, get some sunlight in your house, get some sunlight on your face, maybe go for a walk. If that's not feasible, there are other things, like you can buy a sun lamp for your house, right? To turn on the receptors in your brain to let you know it is time to be up, it is time to have energy, and then that signals your other hormones and other things to start operating according to the circadian rhythm during the day, right? So that's why it's super important to get outside earlier in the day. Another thing you can do, and this one I've done before and is pretty hard, I'm not going to lie, is to stop using caffeine as a Band-Aid. Now this one, there's different ways to approach it, because I love coffee, I enjoy the way caffeine feels in my body, and I like the taste of coffee. But it can be a crutch. You can use it just to feel like you're waking up or feel like you can get a boost of energy, when really we know that's not happening. So 2 ways to approach this. Number 1 is what I did, is I gave myself a week with 0 caffeine. Now that's a lot for some people. Maybe you don't like to do the cold turkey approach, but you get headaches, you get irritable, you really crave it. I just gave my body a week with no caffeine to reset my system, and it was really nice. Another way you can do this is to just make sure you're not consuming an exorbitant amount, right? Like no more than 200, 300, 400 grams of milligrams of caffeine. Another thing is to set boundaries on your consumption. You should only consume caffeine after you've had a meal so that it metabolizes better, and you should not drink caffeine after like 12 to 2 p.m. That would be a good way to start. If you don't want to be the person who just goes to cold turkey, you need to minimize and structure the caffeine intake around your day. So drinking it after you've already consumed food, preferably some protein, and making sure you're not drinking it later on in the day is a good start to stop using caffeine as a Band-Aid. Another thing is to give your body time to wind down. That means at nighttime, you're dimming the lights, you're getting off your phone, you're maybe doing some stretching, you're reading, you're taking a hot shower or bath, or you're doing a few minutes of breath work. That's all things that you can do to mentally and physically prepare your body to go to sleep. When typically what we do is we're scrolling on our phones, we're working, we're on our laptops, we're watching TV, we're stimulated with these blue lights and with this activity that's heightened our awareness, and then boom, we expect our bodies to turn off and go to sleep. You got to give yourself that runway. So dimming the lights simulates the sun going down, right? At nighttime when the sun is down, that's our circadian rhythm, winding down, lowering cortisol levels, raising melatonin levels, and allowing our body to fully prepare for sleep. These glasses that I'm wearing, the blue blockers, right? If you do enjoy watching TV at nighttime, maybe you pop on a pair of blue blockers so the blue light from the screens doesn't hit your eyes and keep your circadian rhythm out of whack, right? I like to read at nighttime. That's calming, right? You're looking at a piece of paper rather than a screen. You're not watching a drama or a comedy. You're just reading a book. Taking a hot shower helps. A hot shower, it warms up your external temperature and therefore cools your internal temperature, which in order to get optimal sleep, our core body temperature needs to lower a few degrees. So that's a good way to do that. And then breath work to calm your nervous system, right? Simply doing some box breathing where you inhale for 4 seconds, you hold for 4 seconds, and then maybe you exhale for 6 seconds. You always want to make sure to calm your nervous system that your exhale is longer than your inhale. Now, another thing we can do is we need to be cautious and be careful with eating and alcohol, right? Like if you have a fancy dinner or it's your anniversary again, or you're at a wedding, those are one-off things. But you really have to notice, if on a regular basis, how heavy dinners, snacking, or even drinking alcohol really close to bedtime are affecting you. Now, I remember when I was younger, and many people believe this, that like a drink, an alcoholic beverage helps them wind down, when really it just kind of like makes you like drowsy a bit, and then you are unconscious while you sleep, but you're not getting deep quality sleep because the alcohol consumption inhibits you from falling into deep REM sleep. So if you need to go out and have a good time, whatever, it should be sometimes, not all the time, and just make sure on your normal routine when you eat dinner that you are giving yourself a few hours prior to bed to fully digest and to let your body settle down before trying to go right to sleep, right? Then the last thing I'll say is make your bedroom simply a better place to sleep. I look at it this way. Your bedroom should be a sanctuary for you to be in a slumber, right? That means the room should be as dark as possible, like no light entering at all. No, like, those green lights that are on some of the chargers or on things that are plugged into your outlets. Like, you want to cover as much as you can. And if you can't, get yourself a sleep mask. They're game changers. I had one, but my dog just kind of ate it, so I got to get a new one. So get yourself a sleep mask. Another thing is it should be cool. It should be anywhere between 64 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit in your room because, again, your body temperature needs to cool down to get optimal sleep. And then it gets warm. It gets warmer in the morning. Just like the sun goes up in the middle of the day, it's bright during the day, and then gets dark. The same thing equates with temperature because if we were always outside, right? If we lived outside and not in a temperature-controlled house, what would happen? We would wake up, the sun would be up, and during the middle of the day, it would be its brightest and it would be its warmest. And then at nighttime, the sun would go down and it would be colder during the night. I'm not saying it needs to be actually cold, but it would be colder than midday. The same thing should happen, but in our temperature-controlled house. So at nighttime, the lights need to come down, the temperature needs to come down, and that allows our body to naturally get sleep. And lastly is it should be quiet. Now, everyone is different. I enjoy like a white noise. Like we legit play, it's like crickets and a campfire. So there's like a fire crackling and there's crickets. It reminds me of just summer nights and just good times, right? So that allows me to sleep properly. Some people like white noise. Some people like it perfectly quiet. When I say quiet, I mean there shouldn't be random noises. Like you shouldn't be just randomly hearing the TV go off or things outside, right? In your control, either like a white consistent noise or have it be quiet. And again, if you need to, you can wear earplugs for that. Now there's a lot of things that you can do, but that is some of the things that you can take action on today for free. You don't need to buy anything. You just need to be aware and listen to how your body's responding when you make those improvements. So let's say you stop eating dinner a little earlier. Notice how your digestion feels. Notice how your sleep is. Maybe you turn the temperature down cooler during the middle of the night. How do you feel the next day? Really start paying attention to how your body is responding to all of the things. And guess what? The best way to be consistent and to draw momentum is to see results. So if you lowered the temperature and then that week you notice your sleep was better, guess what? You'll keep doing that. So now the temperature gets lower. And then you stop eating dinner so late and you sleep even better and you notice that, right? Then you're going to continue eating dinner earlier and having the temperature lower. And you start to stack these things, and that's how they become a lifestyle. And that's how it becomes not so strenuous on your, again, and my English is so off today, strenuous on your system and on your habits to be healthy and to feel good, right? So just remember, you don't need to do all of this stuff perfectly, but if you're struggling with low energy, your cravings, weight gain, poor recovery, or just feeling like you don't have the motivation to be a human and to take care of yourself some days, you gotta start with your sleep. This is the number one thing you have to focus on, right? Before you go try to grab a supplement, another recovery tool, or some trend that you see online, you just have to ask yourself a simple question. Am I giving myself enough time and consistency to recover every night? Because that is what happens when you sleep. And when your sleep gets better, the rest of your life will typically get a little bit better too. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you did, please share it with a friend, share it on social media, and most importantly, take action, because I promise you those couple tips will improve your sleep and will improve your life. I will see you guys next week. Hey, thanks for spending some time with me on today's episode. I hope you got a ton of value from it. If we're not connected on Instagram yet, let's change that. Hit me up at Sean Calhoun _. That's SEAN Calhoun _. Shoot me a DM. Let me know what you think of the show, or if you got any questions about how to level up your health. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you on the next episode.